Hey, it's Ken Kreitzer for Sons of American Legion Radio. We're at the Maritime College today in Throggs Neck, New York. Have a chance to talk with the new head football coach, Mickey Rehring. And Coach, good to see you. What's it been like for you first couple of months here at the Maritime College in New York City?
First off, Ken, thanks for having me. Been on campus for about 4.5 months now, and really been a remarkable time. It's a special place. That's what kind of brought me here, is the people and the players, and came to realize that this is a very unique place, but a special place because of the people around, and it's been a great opportunity thus far.
Very good. Well, you come out of some great football programs. You played at Franklin Marshall in Pennsylvania, and you coached there after graduation. Then you went to Bowdoin, and most recently, a very successful tenure at Johns Hopkins. Tell us a little bit about your playing days, and then how you got into coaching.
It's funny. Each person has their different approach and how they got into coaching. Mine, I actually got injured my senior year playing football, and didn't want to give it up yet. I was fortunate enough to talk with Coach Troxell at Franklin and Marshall, who I played for, who's still the head coach there, and is a big mentor of mine. And he had a position on his staff, and I was able to stay at my alma mater and coach for a year. From there, I was fortunate enough to go to Brunswick, Maine, and coach at Bowdoin College for 3 years, and kind of broaden my resume a little bit. Work on the special teams, which I hadn't had much experience with, and that opened up the opportunity at Johns Hopkins. And I was at Johns Hopkins working for the late and great head football coach Jim Margraff for 7 years, and obviously the success that we had there and going to the national playoffs every year, competing for conference championships, prepared me to step into this next role as head coach here at Maritime.
Very good. Well, you mentioned a couple of your mentors there, so important in every walk of life, but certainly in coaching. And tell us a little bit about what they taught you and the kind of the keys in your philosophy of coaching football.
It's a great question. I think most importantly, I've worked for three great men. They've been great football coaches, but more importantly, they've been great men and really took a liking to me and cared about me as an assistant coach. And you look at even my last stop at Johns Hopkins, why was I there for 7 years as a young coach? It's because every day I walked into the office and I felt as though I was a valued part of that institution and that football program. And that means a lot, and that's a testament to all the success that Jim Margraff had. But, my biggest mentors are those three. Dave Caputi, who's the offensive coordinator at Middlebury College, I worked for 3 years and learned a lot. He took a chance on me as a very young coach, and I don't take that lightly. And then obviously my head coach that I played for and gave me my first job in John Troxell, on top of Jim Margraff. And those three are really the ones that have shaped my career, shaped who I am as a coach and who I am as a person, and kind of have learned along the way, from a young 22-year-old in my first job to my last job at Hopkins, just taking a little bit from each one of them and creating it to be my own.
Very good. Well, you've been here a couple months now after your selection, and what are some of the priorities in coming into a new school? Obviously, your first head coaching opportunity. It's a different type of role. What have been some of the priorities in getting started here at SUNY Maritime?
I said it on my first day. I said it in my interview that the top priority is for the current players on our roster to know who I am and what I'm all about and what my expectations are of them as players, and how we will go about things as a program here. And I think that first and foremost is the current ones on your roster. From then on, it was solidifying a solid recruiting class, which I feel even late in the process, we have some really talented young players coming in for the fall. And then also we're a younger program of bringing the program back 14 or 15 years ago, to get to know our alumni base, and I've gotten a chance to get to know some of our alumni, and looking forward to that in the future, because they're on top of a great recruiting class and the current players. The alumni are just as much of a lifeline to a football program.
Absolutely. Now, you've worked at three top academic schools and played and then coached, and you're coming into another top school here. How do you work with players so that they can manage time and manage priorities to handle both the football side, the academic side, and many of the students here are in the military training programs?
Yeah, I'm a little bit biased being a Division III football player myself. I think the Division III model just exemplifies the fact of student athlete, and the main job for me is to make sure that they get a great education and have a great time playing football along the way and compete at a very high level, both on the field, in the classroom, and in the community. And that's something that I learned from as a player. Fortunate enough to work at previously three great academic institutions and now a fourth, and that won't change. And the lessons that I learned at the previous institutions will just be adapted to the type of style that we have here. This is a very unique place. It's not your typical college experience with there's limited social life, and but you're in New York City, and college is what you make it, and that's what I've told our players, and I'll continue to tell our recruits. I think what makes it unique is that's a positive, because there are a lot of opportunities here that aren't present at other institutions, whether it's regimental life, whether it's civilian life. But what I do know, when it's all said and done, no matter what their college experience that they choose to be, they're going to get a great education and compete at a high level on the football field.
Absolutely. One of the things that we hear the coaches here have talked about, and other schools, is that Division III offers a lot of players an opportunity to play football. The parents may see the Division I games more often on television, but there are a lot of schools and a lot of great academic schools play football. Why should someone, a parent, a student, football player, look at Division III programs and not just consider the big programs that are more visible?
I think part of the reason with the Division III level is geared for the most part around high academic institutions, and I think that's where Division III really excels, is that they find institutions that you can get a great education, not just a good education. I think that's ideally what took me to the Division III level, is that I could get a great education and continue to play football for 4 years. And obviously everybody wants to play in the NFL, but you look at the numbers, even at the highest level at Division I, not many people make that and are able to have that. So it's not a matter of finding what the next step over the next 2, 3, 4 years is Division III. It's finding what the next 40 years of your life.
Absolutely. Now, you've been assembling a coaching staff, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about some of the coordinators and coaches that you have on your staff here for the season.
Of course. It took a little bit of time to get a staff together. I really think I have one of the best staffs in Division III. I really do. I was able to hire an offensive coordinator named Adam Moses, who's coming to us from Ohio Northern, who I had some experience watching on film and seeing the offense that they run and the productivity that they have, and to compete in the Ohio Athletic Conference at a high level with the likes of Mount Union and things like that, really attracted him to me, and I think he's going to do a great job. My background in coaching is definitely on the defensive side of the football, alongside of having 4 years of special teams coordinator experience. So having a guy that I really can trust on offense and run our offense at a high level was a top priority for me. And then I was able to hire our newest assistant, Zach Sterling, who's coming from Western Pennsylvania at Waynesburg University, to coach our offensive line, but also to be our school strength and conditioning coordinator, which I think all of our student athletes here at Maritime will benefit from his coaching, and then also coaches that were on staff previously, and the ones that have stayed have done a great job. I could not have done spring practice without them. They really connected to me well, and I'm really excited on today to have the staff that I have moving into 2019.
Well, you've got a bunch of home games starting September 7th as your first game. You've got the rivalry you're going to learn about between with Mass Maritime, Maine Maritime, and Kings Point across Long Island Sound. You got some rivalry. When you saw the schedule and the schools that Maritime plays and in the conference games, what were some of the thoughts about the schedule and how you can compete against those schools?
Yeah, just getting here, the big thing is watching film and seeing what we have, and it'll always be about us. worrying what can we do to get better. As soon as you start worrying about other teams, that's when you get beat. And I think day in and day out, we just got to get better and work to compete at a high level on Saturdays. And our main focus right now is Maine Maritime. I love the fact that we get a chance to start against the three maritime institutions, and obviously the rivalry with Kings Point, and that's big for our alumni in any sport. Sure. Just location-wise and the type of school, and I came to realize it's important all the way from the top down to our admiral, our president here. That's a big game for him, and it's a challenging non-conference schedule, which I think will prepare us for a challenging conference schedule.
Very good. Well, maybe as a final thought, in talking to players, talking to your recruits, what are the keys that you always talk to everyone about how they can be successful in football and academics and service training here at Maritime?
Mm-hmm. Nothing here at Maritime's easy. Nothing will be. Academics will be challenging. Football will be challenging. But if by finding the right people and bringing the right people in to create a football program here, they will be successful. And I think there are resources on campus to be able to get them to be successful academically. And I think that I've put together a fantastic staff to give them the resources to be successful on Saturdays in the fall and moving forward throughout their lifetimes.
Very good. We'll look forward to covering some of your training in August, and then your schedule. It's been a great opportunity for us to watch the players develop, and we love seeing the day after graduation when they have commissioning. For some go in the Navy and other services, and it's great to be down at Maritime. And great to meet you, and best wishes as you start your career as a head football coach here at the State University of New York Maritime College here in Throggs Neck.
Great. Thanks, Ken. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. This is Ken Kreitzer for Sons of American Legion Radio and RallyPoint.com in Throggs Neck, New York.